Good morning, welcome back to my channel. This is John's dad. This is the second in our series on equipment. Today we're going to focus on my kitchen. How do I make my food? How do I boil water? Got two major components of my kitchen. First is this Reflectix food cozy that I made. It's easy to make. If sometime you want to have a video on how I made that, this one's getting worn out and it's about time for me to make a new one, so I'd be glad to put that together. The other is my kitchen bag, which the bag itself is a 10-stake bag I got with my original copper spur. The Big Agnes copper spur that came with this. I don't use the 10-stake bags for 10 steaks. It's perfect for my kitchen. Let's talk about the Reflectix bag first. Inside it, I store my titanium spoon, and I like the spoon rather than the spork. I think it just works better for me. And also a windscreen. There's no accident that I made my food cozy the same width as my spoon. Put the spoon in there, fits down to the bottom, fold it over, and as I cram it into my backpack, the food cozy helps keep the spoon from bending. The windscreen, this is controversial, and you should read and follow the instructions that come with your stove and with your fuel canisters, which say do not put a windscreen around them. And I thought that was a legal thing some lawyer made them do, and it might have been. But the key thing is that it actually causes a problem. With the fuel canister inside, cooking your food, boiling your water, the heat can build up inside of here so much that the fuel canister will explode. I thought, yeah, sure, I didn't believe it. I've never had it explode. I did YouTube it, and I found videos of people who did have their fuel canisters explode because they had a windscreen around. What I did have happen is I had the piezoelectric mechanism melt on two stoves that I had circled with the windscreen. So it does get really hot in there. If you're going to use the windscreen, use it just to block the wind. Make sure there's lots of space, a lot of opportunity for the wind for the heat to escape. This one I just made out of aluminum foil, some extra thick, heavy-duty aluminum foil. I just folded it together, and it's lasted me, starting to wear out a little bit, more than a year. Just this little thing. I think it's 3 layers of aluminum foil, and again, just lay 3 layers out, fold them all together, nice and neat, and it doesn't weigh very much. You can buy these commercially. I think I paid $14 for one. The edges on that one were so sharp, I didn't like taking it with me. So I made my own. Second component of my kitchen is my kitchen bag. I'll just talk about what I've got in here as I empty it. Take along fire starters. If I'm alone, I take 2. If I'm with a group of people, then I'll just take 1. They don't weigh that much, but who needs to take 2 when 1 is good enough? And the Kings Trail last summer, I was gone for a month, and my section hike this year on the AT, I didn't use any of them. But they're here for an emergency, and I won't use them just for a fun fire. If I'm sitting around, it's 7 o'clock, I'm a little cold, I'd like to have a fire, these are for emergencies. I don't use these to start it. Inside here also fits either a 4 or 8 ounce fuel can. This is the 4 ounce one. The 8 ounce does fit in here, but for purposes of filming, the 4 ounce goes in and out a lot easier. Everything else I have tucked inside my titanium pot. Put the bag away. Notice that I've also made a cozy for this. Put insulation on the lid and insulation around it. I also took some little tubing, put tubing on the handles so I don't have to have a bandana or anything else dragging near the flame as I pick up this pot. And these work real well. I haven't had any trouble with heat coming through them or them melting, anything like that. It's worked out real well. I'll just dump out everything else here. You probably heard that. Now this is a 750 milliliter pot. I tried a 500 milliliter pot, which is about 2 cups. And 2 cups is what you need for rehydrating most of our meals, something around 2 cups. The problem was that the 500 milliliter pot was totally full. So there's no room for error. When you had the water boiling, it was going everywhere. when you picked it up, you had to be real careful not to spill it, and it poured too early. So I came back to the 750 milliliter pot. It's a little bit bigger, and it's a little bit heavier. Okay, not a lot, but it is a little bit heavier, but it worked a lot better. Also in the pot, I have these things, they're called hot lips. They're little rubberized lips. They clip right on the side of the pot. So I make hot chocolate early September evening, October, November, maybe February camp out. I make my hot chocolate, which I pre-mix. A couple packets of hot chocolate and some dry milk powder. Pour that in, make a couple cups of hot chocolate. I can sit and hold it with my hands. And the hot lips lets you drink it without burning your lips on the hot metal. I would share a mistake I made. I was shivering last year on our February trip and realized that the reason was that I had used low fat, low sugar hot chocolate packets, 25 calories per packet. I wasn't getting any energy. I was getting the warmth of a warm liquid, but I wasn't getting any energy. And so when you do a winter camp out, take the full power hot chocolate, 160 calories per packet, get 300 calories in your pot. Drink it up. You'll need the calories anyway to stay warm, and you're hiking, so it's okay. At home I can't eat like that. I need to watch my food. In there I have my flint and steel. Let's see if we can see it spark here. Sure. And that lights the stoves real easily. First couple times, not a problem. A mini Bic. Now this isn't a mini. I gave away my mini Bic on my AT section hike. Our last night on the AT was at Crampton Gap Shelter, and camping with us was a brand new backpacker. It was her first night backpacking ever, and I'm not picking on her. I am very happy that she's out there giving it a try. She still had price tags on some of her equipment. She was that brand new. She had trouble lighting her stove, and so we helped her a little bit, but it's her hike and she gets to make her own mistakes, learn her own lessons, but she couldn't get her stove lit, and so I showed her how to do that. She had it turned up too high, like a jet furnace, and it needs to be kind of real soft and slow, and then you know, what she was using wasn't going to work long term for her. So I gifted her my mini Bic, and it's going to work a lot better for her. I hope, if you're watching this, I sure hope that you had fun and that you didn't get hurt. I want you to go out there again and do it some more. So good luck with that. And let's see, I also carry a knife. Now, the knife is pretty small. I don't have a big knife. I don't carry a neck knife, anything like that. I have nothing against people who do. It's up to you guys. I did put a wire tie on there so that when this falls on the ground, there's a better chance that I can find it. I can also clip it in with a carabiner if I decide I need to put it in my brain, that kind of a thing. I do have 3 different stoves. A BRS 3000, Snow Peak Gigapower, and MSR Pocket Rocket. I'll talk about the BSR 3000 first. The only reason I have this is that I kept seeing people talk about how wonderful it was, how great it was. It doesn't weigh anything really, it's very, very small. I did hear that people have problems with it being fragile, and all of these stoves are fragile. You don't want to be abusing any of the equipment at all. This is not, the titanium that's on there is strong, but only as a strength to weight ratio. They make it so thin, it's still strong, but it isn't truly strong. The spoons, you could bend the spoons with your fingers if you wanted to. Same thing with these. The arms melt apparently, according to some reviews. But I decided I was going to try it, and it worked. It boiled my water, but I had a problem with the arm seemed a little bit weak, and it seemed like it worked well, full blast. But you sure couldn't do a simmering kind of thing, a lower temperature. It does have an adjustable valve on there, but it just wasn't doing what I wanted to do. If I wanted to turn it down, boom, it went out. It was really unreliable. It doesn't weigh anything. So definitely is something for you to consider, but you decide. The stove I've used for years is this Snow Peak Gigapower. It comes with a hard plastic box. Real easy to set up. I was able to buy separately a windscreen that goes on. I want to assemble it right now. It goes on and it protects the flame from wind, and that seemed to work just fine too. I did have a problem, the hard plastic box. See if I can show you this. It was so hard I had trouble getting the stove in and out, but I just cut a couple slits here with a hacksaw, and that made it just flexible enough. Oh yeah, of course now it doesn't work. I can get the stove in easy and out. This one is a fantastic little stove. Extremely good control at low power. I could turn it way down and it stays lit. Turn it up. A very responsive valve. I did have a problem with it though. Last summer on the Kings Trail, that's the stove I took. Everybody else I met, yeah, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people had the MSR Pocket Rocket. And we'd get to a place we're going to make dinner. Quite often what we'd do is come to a cabin and make dinner using their picnic tables, maybe do a resupply, and then set up and make dinner. My friends had the MSR Pocket Rocket, I had my Snow Peak. They had water boiling and in their food rehydrating, and I didn't have a boil yet. So I went out and I splurged, I got myself the Pocket Rocket, and this is my favorite one now. It does have, let's see if this even works. I don't know if you can see the starter. It just puts a little spark in there. This, as soon as I turn it on, I can see bubbles forming in the bottom of my pot. There's heat going directly to the pot. With the Snow Peak, I have a feeling it is intended for more of a cooking, simmering kind of backpacking experience. And the Pocket Rocket is meant for boiling water. It isn't really great at low power. I don't have a real problem or a complaint. But it is really good. Boils water really fast. I'm not sure if I showed you this, so I'm going to show it to you now. One thing I use the Food Cozy for is after it's done rehydrating, I'll put the food in here and I can eat it. All the extra food that spills, I'm a messy eater, falls onto the Food Cozy, not onto my clothes. So I don't want any smellables, I don't want me to be smellable. This and my whole cook kit goes up in my food bag. I know there's food smells on it, no need to tease the bears. Our scout troop used a liquid fuel for a long time, and I was really glad when we decided to switch over to use the canisters. Much safer when you're dealing with an 11-year-old scout that's very inexperienced, doesn't quite know what's going on, may not have all of his attention where it needs to be. With the liquid fuel, the way you light it, and I don't really have one, so I'm not sure how to show it to you, but you actually fill a little bowl with the fuel, light that fuel in that bowl. It's a tiny little bowl that's part of the stove. That then heats up the stove so it gets ready to work. Then you open up the valve, flooding more fuel into the stove. Well, if you've ever been to a campsite and you see a huge black burn mark on a picnic table, it came from one of those stoves. Somebody put too much fuel in, it overflowed, they lit it, picnic table started on fire. As would a scout, when you're leaning over it, lighting it, too much fuel, for me, it's a huge safety factor. There is a benefit because you can control the pressure in the fuel tank. There's a fuel tank with a hose that leads to the stove. You pump it up and you can control the fuel pressure, which means at low temperatures, those stoves work a lot better. Canister stoves, as the temperature goes down, so does the fuel pressure inside, and then your stove becomes unreliable. This one happens to be a 4-season fuel blend, which is supposed to work better in the cold temperatures. Even so, I see at the low temperatures that these don't work as well. I have not talked about alcohol stoves because I don't know anything about them. They don't have an off valve. They are fuel that's flammable. I just don't like them. I don't feel comfortable. I'm real comfortable with the canisters. You can cram them into your pack. They're not going to leak, that kind of thing. You do want to keep this cover on. They come in different colors. The threads in here are very, very sensitive. If they get dirty, if you get cross-threaded, damaged in any way, your stove won't go on it and you can't cook. So this little cap doesn't weigh very much. Just keep it on there. That'll protect your canister and you can keep making fuel. So that was today's story on my kitchen. I'm getting a little bit hungry here. If you have any other ideas, maybe you've got some experience with the fuel stoves, the liquid fuel stoves, or with the alcohol stoves you want to share, please do that. That isn't something I know about, and I'm thinking I'm not going to actually explore it too much ever. Please make the comments down below. If you have any questions, anything, why do I cough on the videos? I'm not coughing all day. I get on the video and I start coughing. Sorry about that. So if there are any other comments or questions you've got about equipment in general, about the kitchen, about stoves, just drop a note down below. I sure appreciate reading your questions and comments, and I'm always learning, always willing to try new things, except for maybe not the liquid stoves. I have some limits. I might though. So anyway, glad you stopped in, and see you next time. I'm still looking at my retirement options. I've got a retirement to announce here in the near future. I may need your help picking out the replacement, and so stay tuned for those details.